Welcome to Pay Attention, a podcast guiding you from the chaos of the mind to the clarity of the heart. Here's your host, Holly McNeill.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this finds you. It is sunny in Southern California. Actually, it's blazing hot. And my son is getting married in 2 days. And I'm desperately trying to get over a cold, which is why I have warm lemon water and honey. And and I broke a fingernail, which is decidedly less tragic. But if you want to get inside my head in a more constructive way, you're in for a real treat. Last week, we had Valerie Johns, first half of a 2-part episode, and we're even having technical difficulties getting her on, so hopefully she'll be on after we play this recording. But you're going to hear more about this in just a minute. Going inside my head, she did a dream tending session for me, and so without further ado, let's take a listen to that and hope that she can join us at the end. Thank you and enjoy. Hi everyone, I'm Holly McNeill. Welcome to the second half of a 2-part episode on dream tending. We had the first part last week, or last episode that was aired. And so I wanted to welcome back Valerie Johns. Welcome, Valerie. As we said last week, Valerie is a dream tender. And so if you want to know about dream tending and what it is, head back to the last episode. But today we wanted to give you a dream interpretation. Well, Valerie gave me a dream interpretation, and we're going to play that for you now. And we'll just start at the beginning. And then I'm ready.
Great. Well, this is a grand experiment for me as well as for you, because I've never integrated a dream work with an interview with someone who's interviewing me. So it's kind of an experiment, kind of floating the little boat out onto the lake, the little paper boat, to see how she floats.
Of course.
And see how it feels. There's a part of me that doesn't want you to be too vulnerable, and yet there's a part of me that wishes you all the vulnerability in the world for this.
And I appreciate, Valerie, that you asked, you had said this is kind of an experiment, right? Doing a podcast interview and a dream interpretation at the same time. So yeah, you asked me if I'm willing to be vulnerable, and certainly I am. So hopefully it can help those people listening. And I don't have any problem with that. So yes, but thank you for that kind of respect and understanding. So.
Okay. Well, I'm going to light a candle, because that's what we do, to kind of create a space, even though we're online together instead of face to face.
Okay.
Just take a couple breaths and kind of get into your chair and into your body. Holly, have you ever been hypnotized or done guided imagery?
Imagery, I've done guided kind of meditations to get out energy and stuff. I did my Akashic Records reading, but I've done past life regressions, but not hypnotism.
Okay, so you've been in the what I would call the alternate realms, through meditation or through other forms. So going into the dream time is a lot like that. Mm-hmm. We're bridging between ego and consciousness, and unconscious and the soul or the self, or in Buddhism, the no self, however you wish to relate to it. But while we're talking, we're just at the tip of the iceberg, and what we want to do is go under the water.
Okay.
Right? So just hang out with me. Are you wearing contacts by any chance?
I'm not.
Good, great. It helps to
get a little closer. I probably shouldn't be drinking, so I'll put that over here. Just my tea. Anyway.
And just feel the breath going in and out wherever you feel it, in your belly or your chest or your nose. Notice that you can relax a little more on the exhalation. And then imagine any, what I would call your allies, any allies that you have, dog, cat, spirit animals, as some people call them, or ancestors, any kind of ally. It can be any kind of sentient being, and it can also be tree and rock and other forms of life. Whatever you want to gather around you to be your allies and protectors as we walk into the dream time, and imagine them being welcomed here now. And I'm going to ask that all the doors and windows and portals be open to Holly's dream time so that we can connect as deeply and as meaningfully as possible and see what's calling her while she's sleeping. And Holly, what is the first dream that comes to mind of the ones you were writing down? Is there one in particular that calls to be gone into?
There's kind of two themes, and the one that, am I supposed to keep my eyes closed, or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. However you're comfortable.
So as we discussed, Valerie, there's two kind of reoccurring dreams that I've been having, and we decided to do the one on my work.
And then alongside that, I used to be, I was like large and in charge. I was really in line to be the managing principal of a large firm, San Francisco office. I often have dreams that mix, like I've missed the boat, like I'm supposed to be at work and my team has been going. So I had a dream where I'm at a Buddhist class. I'm going to go to this Buddhist class. It's a young person giving this class, and it's a huge auditorium. Usually it's a very small room. And I go get something, and I break my necklace, which turns out to be these rose quartz balls that I'm giving away at the conferences. And I go to get a bag to collect these rose quartz balls. And my work people are having this huge meeting about me. And they're like, you have to get out of here. What are you doing? Get out of here. So I come back, and it turns out that this class this young girl is giving turns out to be like a music festival. And there's students that I met at the conference helping me pick up my rose quartz balls, asking me for my contact information. And somehow my hair is getting dyed, and I'm dyeing out my highlights, which I've spent years are getting growing out. And they're like, why are you doing that? And I realize I don't want to do that. And so I wake myself up because I kind of know I'm in a dream. But often I have other dreams about work that I come back to work, and I've given up my position. I did give up my position as an associate principal. And so I'm still in there, but it's awkward because I'm no longer an associate principal, and my team has been doing stuff, and like they've probably way gone over budget, and I haven't been really attentive to them. And I keep like, why am I still working? So I don't know. So those are the two main themes that come up often in my dreams.
Who stands out to me immediately is the teacher. There's a teacher in the room giving a Dharma talk.
Yeah, well, it turned out she wasn't giving a Dharma talk. She was just more of it was supposed to be a Dharma talk, but it turned out to be like she was a music festival for young people. Like we're in this auditorium, they're all dancing around. It wasn't a Dharma talk at all.
But you had expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What feeling comes up around, I thought I was going for this and I got that?
It was the whole dream itself was more such a combination of everything that I had been doing, mm-hmm. that it was just more of, what's happening, I was okay with that it was the music festival, because part of my ego is not wanting her to do well, I guess, because I want to be the teacher, I suppose, a little bit of that, mm-hmm. But I was okay with that part. It was just then, it was just that particular dream was a combination of a lot of things.
How long ago did you leave architecture?
It was December of 16. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, it'll 9 years in December.
And you're still transitioning.
Yeah, I've had these dreams pretty consistently. Like I should have been at work, or I was part-time, or even I would be back at work in Minnesota, or it would be different places and teams that I used to run. And yeah, there's something there for sure.
Do you miss something of it?
I was doing financially just fine. I would have been fine, but I wanted to retire from architecture, to be quite honest, to talk about what I've learned on my personal journey since, I hit what they're now calling the quarter life crisis. And I wanted that. And my marriage, and I put the intentions out to the world to retire from architecture before I turned 50, to have the time and space to write without needing to make money to do that. And it provided all of that for me. But in doing that, I gave away my money, my independence as far as my own ability to make money and so I'm rebuilding, this as a mindfulness architect, but it's a long, slow road. But I haven't really brought that to the forward of my mind. So to answer the question, I did want to leave it because it was, at the end, I was working for Stanford University and it's high pressure, and they had 50 to 60 architects on staff there that every other Monday I had to go down and I'm on, and they're like, okay, checking all my work. And I loved my team in San Francisco, but it was very high anxiety creating at that level. I never really hit the glass ceiling as a woman, but just it was a lot. And I think now I'm much calmer. I might not have been as stressful, but I was happy to leave it. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, but there's something still, maybe, I don't know, something in there that I keep dreaming about it. So yes. That I'm late, that I've been missing, that my team's been running wild, but when I get there, they don't ask me if I've been late. I just recognize that, oh gosh, I haven't been here for months, and what's the team doing, and how's the project going? And
so what are you late on? If it were meant for, rather than a physical thing, what do you feel like time is, that you're striving for something?
Well, when you manage these projects, you have a budget, and they have to get, if you aren't managing the team, they're off on these tangents, designing things that they don't even need designing, or, and so they're spending all the money for the budget. One of the things I did really well was get projects in on time and profitable and very organized. And so I had no idea how they felt about the fact, they felt abandoned. And when people, they keep themselves busy, but they keep charging to the project, right? So just not late, but all of a sudden I show up and it's been months since I've been there, and I don't even know who's on the team or whatever, but the leadership is still expecting that I know what's going on.
Does that remind you of anything in your current life?
Does it remind you of anything? Where the leadership knows, it's interesting.
Internally,
it's probably, I'm speaking at Yale in a couple of weeks, and I asked ChatGPT if it's okay to call myself a scholar, because it's like, absolutely, right? It's like, so ChatGPT tells me it's okay to call myself a scholar because of this long journey that I just put in my resume, and it's like, it wasn't even like, I don't know. It was like, yes. And I am a scholar, right? But maybe it could be related to, I didn't come upon what I know by the traditional research that people do. It was kind of pop. What I'm finding now was kind of pop psychology and stuff like the movie What the Bleep Do We Know, more self-help, which isn't as academically accepted. And I'm coming into a space where they're expecting that evidence-based, which everything I talk about is evidence-based and backed up, but it's not the way I got there, So in this talk I'm doing at Yale, I'm bringing up what I've learned, but kind of not how I got there. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see how that might dovetail into I'm late, I don't know what I'm walking into?
Yeah, I can. But
go ahead.
The dream's been going on for years. The thing at Yale and the needing it to be academic has only come up in the last 2 or 3 weeks. But, with divine timing, there's always things. But yes, I can see that kind of. And actually, when I started architecture, I went straight into managing projects. I skipped all the redlining, and this could be something too. I skipped all the redlining, all the grunt work, all the doing errands and all of that. And so for the many, many years, even though I was managing, and it's like, I didn't do do I even know how buildings come together? Am I like not even, is that even true? And so, because when you pick up all of those red lines, you see and you start to see, okay, I see what they're doing now. So even reading a wall section, or a building section would be challenging to me at first, but I actually do know how to do it. But there's still that, do I even know, right? Yeah, I guess you're right. There's layers of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they just play out in whatever your vocation is or avocation is at the time. But there's this slight feeling of being behind the eight ball where you're kind of running to prove it, like a
Yeah,
proof.
or being kind of always, I've been kind of placed at the top in a way without, taking the route, except for in my personal life, except for in the journey to awareness. It's always been I was right away put in charge of the largest historic preservation project in the state of South Dakota. When I studied Buddhism, I went right to emptiness, right away. And now here speaking, I am speaking at a couple other colleges, but I'm going straight to Yale,
Yeah.
So it's right. There's never that kind of incremental, what I'm talking about, I know, and I'm very confident, and ChatGPT is confident. But getting there has always been like, let's just start here and figure out the rest.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to stop there for a minute. And Valerie, is there anything that you want to kind of tell people at this time?
Well, I'd like to just say that when you're tending a dream, it's the dreamer's understanding of the dream that matters far more than the person holding space. The person holding space need not be some kind of therapist or master dream weaver, but just a good ear that's holding space for someone to share the dream and bring the images alive is much more important than somebody handing out wisdom. The wisdom is coming from the psyche. It's just a matter of having enough space to open it up. And that kind of space people don't take in each day. They're shot out of a cannon first thing in the morning. They're lucky if they meditate for 10 minutes, and they careen through the day and conk out at night. But if you take time to work your dreams with a partner, just choose a trusted other to exchange dreams with and set up a practice like that, then psyche's on alert that, oh, you're listening.
Yeah. That's exactly what you did. You listened to me, and then you just a few nuggets that you used to weave together. So let's keep listening.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you went to ChatGPT for reassurance.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Well, it tells me that you're wanting to be parented.
But maybe, I don't know.
Maybe a little. Where are you in the birth order in your family?
I'm 5 of 6.
So one of the babies.
Yeah, my father was alienated from us when I was a child. My mother was very narcissistic, and she told us our father doesn't love us anymore, right? So dad's gone, and mom is using us as shields. And then I fought my own alienation from my children because I knew how damaging it was to self-esteem. So definitely that parenting. And the one thing I regret in my life is the kids being in the middle. But I understand they have their own journey. But that is the one thing I regret, is that them being in the middle. I was alienated eventually for 3 or 4 months completely. And for 2 or 3 years, in their early and late teen years, to some degree. I moved from Minnesota as a childless mother to the East Coast. But I'm very lucky because a lot of alienated parents don't recover. And I have a great relationship with my kids today. But it could be parenting. I guess that reassurance. Yeah, there hasn't been, all along, I've never had somebody going, like when you said to bring your allies in, you never said to bring people in, which was interesting. But I have a few friends that are very supportive of what I do. But other than that, it's nature and it's the ocean And it's just the being energy, because you're right. I've never really had that type of support, even in my current marriage. So, yeah.
Yeah, and in the dream, when you go in to hear a Dharma talk, she's doing a whole different thing than the thing you came for.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's sort of like the shell game where your teacher is hiding under a shell and you look and you go, it's a rock concert.
Yeah.
I was looking for a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if there's a quest for a teacher here, because you've always been thrown to the top of leadership teaching yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And all teachers long for teachers.
That is a truth there, because in my 20-year journey to unraveling the mind and how it works, I never really had, you read about these people who studied under gurus and went for 2 years, and I never really had that person. It was all on my own.
So Valerie, you talked about, you really brought up the idea of the teacher and the mother. And you heard that I gave you several examples of dreams, but that was that one teacher that was supposed to be a teacher ended up being like a rock concert. How was that just a light bulb that came on for you, or?
Yeah, each person who listens will have things that feel like maybe this is the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
But another person listening might pick up on a completely different thing.
Different thing.
Yeah,
Well,
I do a dream circle with 6 other women from around the world, all of whom took the same coursework that I did.
Uh-huh.
And we take turns sharing our dreams. And each one of us who listens often picks up on something different.
I did practice Buddhism in the New Kadampa tradition for 5 years, and there were great teachers. There's one teacher in New York, in particular, Kadam Donna, who was amazing in the 2-year book study on the New Heart of Wisdom. But there was never like, I'm your student and you're my guru.
On my personal journey, my quest to awakening, I never really had that guru or teacher that I studied under. But I did want to say, as I was talking about this dream interpretation that you did I was talking to my son about it. And he said, and he reminded me, there's probably hundreds or thousands of teachers that will never know how they influenced you on this journey. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of those teachers.
And you're exactly right. And actually, I was kind of talking about that in my speech, in the speech I'm preparing, that I'm always at the top, but then I have to figure out, how do you get there? And it's always been just me. It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. For the most part, I'm happy where I'm at. And I'm very joyful and grateful to be on my journey.
Mm-hmm.
The people I meet on the podcast is amazing. And the more I let it, the more I let things go, the more they flow. So that is my mentor. That has been my mentor. Just awareness, that, the open heart. Always, always. There's not a person. My father was my rock in the beginning, and then he was gone, and we reconnected before he died, which was very special to me. But there's never been a parent, a teacher. Yeah, it's all kind of self, true.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's neither good nor bad, but if we think about it as good or bad, we can make it so. But
true. There's nothing that's good or bad. It's our mind that makes it so, correct.
yeah. Well, I'm stealing from Hamlet there. But in the dream of being late and
Not late. I don't think late's the right word. It's just absence.
Absent. Okay. Absent. And then when you go in for the talk, the teacher's not there. And I'm wondering if we could re-enter the dream and dream it forward with what you wish could come to you as the inner teacher, your inner guide, as like fabulous, whatever image you choose, whether it's an Arthur Rackham fairy or, a wise old man or woman, whatever, and it may be you that you meet. But let's go back into the dream and back into that auditorium that you thought was going to be a small room and a Dharma talk, and instead it's this vast room, and someone in there is waiting for you. Somebody's there to be your guide.
I think what it is it's when I realized I didn't want to have my hair dyed, and all the students are coming to me
Yeah.
and saying, here's your rose quartz balls. What's your contact information? As I'm having my hair dyed. And I'm like, wait, this isn't it, you know. And so I woke myself up.
Yes.
So I think it's really just me, it just knowing that I am enough. It's always been that.
Yes.
It's always been that from the beginning. Because when mom said dad doesn't love us anymore, all of a sudden I wasn't enough. And even though I've been to the top of the architecture game, I studied the highest practices in Buddhism, and I'm going to go speak at Yale.
Yeah.
I'm still having those dreams. So
And rose quartz is mothering.
yeah, it's compassion, it's open heart. I have it. I don't have it on right now, but I have it. Yes. Yep.
A patient gave me this many years ago when she needed to be mothered through a pregnancy
Mm.
and was feeling motherless.
I did
Yeah.
not know that it was mothering. I wear it all the time. I give it away.
Yeah. That you're looking for your inner mother. You're looking for Gaia, however you choose to, like you said, nature is often for you
Mhm.
that ally.
Yes, I remember looking out at the ocean and in Sioux Falls in South Dakota even that doesn't have a lot of water, it has a Missouri River going through it, but going to the actual Sioux Falls, the falls in Sioux Falls, and standing there and yeah, just wanting, there's, just here I am, and often I stand at the ocean and just watch it, here I am. Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah. So the rose quartz kind of connects you to that, to the I am. And always when we say I am, usually the first association is I am enough.
Well, always, also for, the I am,
Mm.
there's the little I am, which is the ego, which is what we're not.
Right.
There's the I am that we are connected. And that's really who I am. That's who you are, right? And yeah, so it's the I am that's like life will show you over and over until you see, right? And so I think you're right on the money there. It's I am.
And helping me recognize that I kind of always skipped to the top. And because in doing that, I felt there was something missing. But also I've always been guided, right? To trust that guidance that I am enough, not the I here, but the I that we're all connected was amazing for me. So thank you for that.
I've been really working on letting go of everything. There's the Course in Miracles, and there's a book called Accept This Gift. And
Oh,
yeah, and at the end of it, it says, let go of everything you've learned, everything you know, everything you think about the world, everything you think about yourself, because you do not know, right?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I am. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's beautiful. Thank
Oh, a dear friend gave me that book 40 years ago, who I just emailed with this week
you. Wow.
after tending a dream where he and his wife were in the dream. And I was remembering how he gave me that book when I was just a young woman.
Wow.
And because he was studying with Marianne Williamson back before she was just at 18th in Arizona in Los Angeles, Santa Monica, teaching the course.
Uh-huh.
He would sit down with her every week and get spiritual coaching. And
Wow.
that was the book.
That's the book. It's a Cliff Notes to the Course in Miracles.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Lovely book. And
Yeah.
things, what's been also amazing along this line is that when I made the vow to go on this journey, everything has shown up. If I had a question, the next thing was the answer. I went across the state for work right after kind of I hit the midlife crisis, the quarter life crisis, which I also talk about in my Yale speech. And there's a book by Cheryl Richardson called Stand Up for Your Life. And in it, it says, be careful what you wish for, because the universe will come in and rock your world. And that is the I am that's been showing me that all along. And I've known that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Lovely.
So that's how the dream comes, as like a postcard saying, "Dear Holly, I have a message for you."
Yeah.
And that's when we were talking in our first conversation about lucid dreaming. And what I would think of this as is kind of like a mindful tending of the dream, where you are gently kind of massaging the different dream images and seeing what they bring forward.
It's lovely. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. And it sparks open the heart, the gift, the letting go, the I am.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Very nice. True. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
So that was it. That was our work together. And it was incredibly insightful for me. And the ego was completely wrong. So, you listeners out there that are having reoccurring dreams and maybe don't understand what they are, or nightmares, dream tending is a beautiful way to get, like you said, Valerie, if everyone can hear different parts of it, to maybe help you see what your dreams are trying to tell you. So they can find you at valeriejohns.com. And thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for the people that you help, and for being here, and for being willing to do this podcast 2-part series with me. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
I'm honored. And thank you, listeners, for going through this dream tending with me. I hope it was helpful. So that was it. That was inside my head, and it was nice. I forgot to mention before, that was a Back to the Archives episode. So we had played that when I was on a smaller platform in season 1, and it was really lovely to hear it again. And I have good news. We were able to get Valerie on, but she wasn't able to listen to most of this because we had a lot of technical difficulties. But Valerie, welcome to the episode. I'm glad we finally were able to get you on board. She's offline. There she is. Hi, Valerie. How are you?
Hi. Well, I've been in technical adventure for the last half hour, but here I am.
Yeah. And so that episode was a year ago, and it kind of wraps up. I had 2 people on talking about lucid dreaming, and then we did your 2-part episode, because I think that when you're on the journey to awakening to awareness, or just to understanding what's going on in your life, there is such an amazing sketchbook, such an amazing world out there to help you. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It's unlimited.
It is unlimited. It's much less limited than this experience.
Yes.
So tell me, what have you been doing in the last year? You had a book out, and how have things been going for you?
Well, I finished another book, and it'll be out on, I believe, April 1st.
Great.
If Mercury doesn't mess with it in terms of the glitches that happen in technology. Well, here in California, we really believe in Mercury going retrograde. But I wrote a second book. It's called Night Flights, and it is just poem after poem after poem, and each poem is a dream.
Huh?
I pulled out my dream journal, and 110,000 words later, that's a lot of poetry.
Wow.
I had an editor synthesize it down into sections that tell a story about me, so that when the reader reads it, they can tap into the story about them.
Yeah, that's lovely. I think you mentioned maybe in the first episode that we were working on that. So another good way, obviously, to be able to see the stories in your dreams, of course, is writing them down. And so I love this idea of, reading somebody else's dreams to see what might spark for you. So I am actually going to be speaking at the International Association for the Study of Dreams in June in Ashland, Oregon. Have you ever attended that? Are you familiar with it?
Well, I've heard.
Yeah. Well, I will let you know how it goes, or I'd love to see you there because I'm just so excited to to learn more about this landscape of dreaming. I mean, personally, I love half of my growth of awareness has been in the early hours of the morning, in the dream state, in that time when we're not as hectic, like you talked about in the episode. We usually have maybe 10 minutes on the cushion and then we're off and running. But, often I wake up, my stomach actually goes into kind of a nauseation, and then it wakes me up in this terrible hot flash in the middle of the night. And I think it's so that the mind can keep going. But I use that time to think about where, to calm myself, to find that I am, to the advantage of trying to open and let go, like I talked about my dream tending. So I do hope to see you. If you're, I'll let you know how it goes at the International Association of the Study of Dreams. But before we close off this live version, is there any kind of tip you want to leave anyone? I know we did that in the first half, but is there if somebody's interested in dream tending, what's the first thing they should do?
Well, what I've been working on lately is the idea of once you've written the dream down and given it a title, then write it down again and find the word or words or images that spark, and then make them into a poem. Everyone has a poet in them. The word poet means maker, and the dream is something that is made by the dream maker. So if you marry poetry with your dreaming, it will tell you a story about you that you don't know until you write the words and then wait for the next words. Wow. And it's like staying awake and continuing the dream while you're awake and partnering with the dream into a form of art. Mine is poetry, but other people paint or make clay sculptures of the different parts of the dream. But it's like sitting with the word and then cracking the word open and seeing what words come next.
Yeah, I love that, partnering with the dream. It's kind of like doing, if you don't have someone to talk to, it's like doing your own dream tending.
Yes.
And I would love to keep talking about this, but like I said, my son's getting married. I'm trying not to talk too much. I'm so glad you were able to come on. I'm sorry we didn't get to you on at the beginning. Thank you so much for all your work and for these episodes. I hope it was helpful for people out there. So thank you, Valerie.
Thank you, Holly.
And actually, as my son will be getting married in 2 days, and please everyone hope for a little cooler weather because it's an outdoor wedding and 92 degrees is planned or is in the forecast. We won't be here next week, but in 2 weeks, please join us. I'm interviewing someone from the Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead festival I went to in San Antonio, Texas. They had altars there, and there was one altar on servicemen, veterans who had taken their own life because of PTSD and so forth. So very interesting conversation about how this guest's husband found his way past that. So I won't see you next week, but please join us in 2 weeks for another episode of Pay Attention. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Pay Attention with Holly McNeill. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week on Wednesday at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern.